Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to give you guys a sneak peek at the second edition of my Visual Perceptual Workbook. So, the first edition came out in 2019 and I loved it. But I got some feedback from you guys and some testimonials and things that could be better. And so we've revised it. And again, I'm just so excited to show it to you guys. Progress monitoring visual perception can be really difficult. And I find that when I'm doing sessions with my kids, it's like, how do I assess their progress monitoring and give them the same thing? Let's say, for example, a 12-piece puzzle. I only have 6 12-piece puzzles, and I don't want to keep giving them the same thing over and over and over, but I can't give them a bigger puzzle if I'm assessing a 12-piece puzzle, right? So I need something that is the same but different, right? So this is what I used because this was one of my challenges in my OT sessions. So when I created my workbook, I made a standardized format to progress monitor that are all the same, but they're all different. I know that doesn't really make any sense, right? I included rubrics because I think rubrics are an awesome way to progress monitor when it comes to visual perception. You can make each rubric for each kid. So there's blank rubrics in this workbook as well as ones that are already done. And you can simply score the child 3, 2, or 1. How did they do today? They got a 2. How did they do today? They got a 3. There's a little thing at the bottom where you can put the date. So it's as quickly and easily done as possible because, as we all know, there's no time, right? And we want to spend our time focusing on our kids and not on writing stuff down or writing down how they did. So I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about the 4 different sections of the book. The first section is all about patterns. I'm going to make it a little bigger. And with each section, there's a score sheet. So again, this makes it so much easier for you guys to progress monitor. You can just grab the sheet for this kid and write how they did on that day. They are 21 different categories of activities. So there's seasonal categories like fall, autumn, different holidays, summer, and then there's activities that you can do all year long, like trains or toys, sports. So all year long, you can grab a pattern worksheet that is the same, but it's going to be different for the kid. So I did have someone say to me once, like, it's kind of repetitive. And I did that on purpose because I want to assess their skill in the same way that I assessed it last quarter. So it needs to be the same, but I don't want it to be boring. So it's different. In the pattern section, instead of it just being an apple, a pumpkin, an apple, a pumpkin, the figures are more similar. So it's 2 birds, but instead of it always being the same, they're rotated a little bit. They might be flipped. So there's a big OT twist. I had a couple of sheets like this that I did with my students that I found on Teachers Pay Teachers. And I was like, I just kind of wish that it had an OT twist. So that was how I designed it. At the bottom is the section where the children have to cut out the shapes and then paste it. So they're working on cutting, gluing. The whole book is black and white so that you're saving on ink. You're not trying to photocopy all this stuff with colored ink. I know that's tough for us, but also so that the kids can color it. So you can use the coloring and fine motor rubric included in the book to monitor their coloring skills and their cutting skills as well. So you can do it all at once. On the progress tracking sheet on the right here, where you see you can put the answers, you can document how the child did based on the rubric, and then you can calculate the percentage because there's a little percentage chart right there. So it's super easy to just do this with your kids and document how they did and move on. Next quarter, or if you wanted to even do next week, you can select another sheet, another topic, and do it again, or not. It's up to you. But I love that there's that opportunity to progress monitor in a really simple, easy way. The next section is about left and right. So in my presentation that I did the other day, I talked about how laterality is one of the sub areas of visual perception. My light went off. And our children really do need to know their left and right in order to have a good sense of their body awareness, to work on tracking left to right for reading and writing. So this worksheet is all about left and right differentiation. But the OT twist is that it's also working on visual motor skills. When they figure out if the shape is facing left or right, they've got to either draw a circle or a square around it. And the rubric that's included in the book you can monitor how they know their left and right, or how they are drawing their shapes, or both, or coloring. So I like that about this section. And again, there's that handy tracking sheet, so you can just progress monitor very easily. Pick something in the fall, and then pick something in the winter, and then in the spring, and you have an opportunity to see how their percentage changes. Okay, so figure ground. We all love those highlights activities, right? I always did when I was a kid. But as an OT, I don't want to photocopy all those colors because I only get so many colored pages every year. But also, I always wanted an OT twist. Instead of it just being hidden, I would kind of like it to be maybe overlapped, or maybe piece of it is missing and they can only see the head of the toy. Um, I just wanted an OT twist. So when I created my sheets, that's how I did it. There are 21 categories, just like the other sections, but there's different levels of difficulty. So some of the sheets only have 20 things to find, some have 30, and some have 40. So you can grab a sheet depending on your child's skill level. And you can also make it harder as you go throughout the year. But the percentage calculation is on the right. So you can say, okay, they found 18 out of 20 without my help. They got this percent. Plug it in, and you're done. The last section, oh, this is the progress monitoring sheet that's also included in the book, so that you can just plug in how they did on each assessment that you monitored, and then you can see the monthly or yearly growth. So that's cool too. Here's what the rubrics look like. And then this is the last section. It's my favorite. I just love it. Do you remember on the MVPT, they have that section where it's the ducks, and the directions for it is something like 3 of these figures, or these figures are all the same, but 3 of them have been rotated like on a spinner, but 1 has also been flipped over like a pancake. I noticed that my kids really struggled with that all the time, and I couldn't figure out if they really struggled with that task, or was it because they've never had to do anything like this before. This is not really a typical visual perceptual task, but it's an important visual perceptual task. So I created my workbook around that. Instead of just having the figures turned, rotated, and flipped, on the second page, I give them the opportunity to work through it. So it looks like this on the second page. They can cut out the shapes and then place it on the spinner, and then actually turn it. So it looks like this. They can actually work through it and say, oh, wait, okay, it's not the first one. It's not the second one. Oh, it must be this one. So I really liked that part because they're working on cutting, they're working on using their eyes, but kinesthetically, they're really working through that spatial component of understanding it can't be this one because it hasn't been flipped. So that's really my workbook in a nutshell. There's 4 different there's 4 different sections to it. There's progress monitoring for the whole thing, and it is, oh, I'm trying to do me and not this. This is from my old webinar. Sorry, Miss Haley's thing is over. There's 4 sections, and there's progress monitoring sheets for each one. So I hope that you guys love it as much as I do. I think it's going to be a game changer when it comes to progress monitoring, and I hope you guys love it. So I'm going to put the link right here, and I hope you guys will check it out. Bye.